welcome back to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And today, Connie has no idea what we're going to be talking about.
I don't.
All I told her was that it's going to be kind of a historical mystery. So, what do you know about the Zodiac Killer?
It's Ted Cruz. I'm kidding. Don't sue us. No slander. It's a meme. Blame the internet.
Well, that is our topic for today. So the Zodiac Killer is a famous serial killer who was never caught and operated in Northern California during the late 60s, early 70s. There's a lot of speculation on how many murders and attacks he was actually responsible for, but the first victims were David Faraday, 17 years old, and Betty Lou Jensen, who was 16.
Were they like on a date or just like...
So they were going on their first date. How unfortunate, right?
That's your top 10 worst dates.
Easily. David and Betty were going on their first date on December 20th in 68. David parked his mom's car in a secluded spot, which was nicknamed Lover's Lane. And that's where the Lover's Lane stories come in, if you are familiar with that. A car had approached them, and an unknown assailant opened fire on the two while they were inside their car. They were discovered later that night by a passerby who noticed the car, and neither of them survived.
Aww.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
How miserable of a human do you have to be to like see a couple kids on a date and be like, aw, and bang.
Right? Like, what's the point? What is the point?
Girl, that is the whole premise of Criminal Minds.
I know.
Which Criminal Minds, love that show. Just started rewatching it.
I've only seen a couple episodes here and there. I've never it was the only thing on at 2 a.m.
Yeah, they do a lot of reruns.
Mm-hmm.
But girl, I love my Dr. Reed. He's so cute. He's so nerdy.
I do really like it. He's every time I watch it, he's my favorite. For sure.
He's so cute. And Derek Morgan, of course, very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Different type of men, both attractive.
Yes.
They're all attractive. Ooh, except Gideon and, what's the other character's name? The one who reminds everyone of my dad.
I have no idea. But
Later seasons. That. Yeah, I know. I felt that. I can't remember the character's name. Anyway, he reminds me.
I don't know the shows too well.
Rossi, there we go. Rossi. So Rossi and Gideon, they're the two older ones, and they remind me so much of my dad. So that when people say oh, they give daddy energy, I'm like, yeah, but not in the good way.
Not the good daddy.
Not for me.
Well, that took a turn.
Wait, well, randomness.
Serial killers to not the good type of daddy.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling there's an overlap with daddy issues and serial killers. I'm just saying.
Probably.
For sure, mommy issues.
A lot of issues. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone has issues.
Yes.
Some people just kill a bunch of people.
For no apparent reason.
Yeah.
There aren't many rhyme or reasons, but we'll get to that later on. So the next incident occurred in Blue Rock Springs Park in California on the 4th of July in 69. So Michael Magoo, no idea if that's right, age 19, and Darlene Farron, who was 22, were in a parked car again when the assailant opened fire, shooting into the car. Michael was shot several times in the face, neck, and chest, but he actually ultimately survived. Yeah.
Interesting. Also, this is so interesting because they're pulling parts of the Zodiac Killer, even just from what you've said so far, for several Criminal Minds episodes, different murders.
That doesn't surprise me.
I could say a lot more there, but I will not.
The Zodiac Killer, from my understanding, has inspired a lot of movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Movies, TV shows, a couple other killers, I believe.
Yeah, there were a lot of copycats for sure. And they have no idea how many people are actually linked to this guy.
Comforting.
Yeah, great. Well, we can take comfort in the fact that this happened in 69, and the odds of him still being alive today.
Or at least alive and practicing.
Well enough to... Yeah. Well enough to continue.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Darlene, who was also shot multiple times, who was in the car with Michael, she ultimately passed away at the hospital, but she made it to the hospital. But, again, died. In my mind, I'm like, well, she at least made it to the hospital.
The paramedic speaking. Well, he's a victory. Kind of a victory.
My brain goes, at least, well, is it a good or bad thing that she didn't die right away?
That's a phenomenal question.
Bad.
Yeah.
Let's hope she got some good meds on the way to the hospital if she was conscious.
Yeah. Or just unconscious.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 4.
Yes. So he was the first to survive. First person to survive. So then on September 27th, in 69 also, in Napa County, a 20-year-old named Brian Hartnell and then a 22-year-old named Cecilia Shepard were his next victims. So they were actually attacked in broad daylight, which was unique to him. The victims were both college students and were spending their day off at the lake. The Zodiac Killer approached them in a hooded costume and with a knife in hand. Very bizarre, right? All these are really random. So he forced Cecilia to tie up Brian, and then he tied up Cecilia after. He then ended up stabbing both of them multiple times, and after he left, Brian was able to crawl to the road where there was a parked ranger that found them and then called an ambulance. Both of them were airlifted to an ER, and Cecilia passed away 2 days later due to her injuries, but Brian also ended up surviving and gave a lot of valuable information to the police in their ongoing investigation for this guy.
I'm going to go with mommy issues now. Because, like...
The guys are living?
The guys are living. Well, 2 out of 3 at this point.
Yeah.
2 out of 2? 2 out of 3. Anyway. But, like... Interesting. Very interesting. Also, was no one else at the lake?
It sounded like it was more of, like, a secluded place. Again, like, no one was around. And, it kind of sounded like it was supposed to be, like, a mugging. Like, he asked for... their money and their car or something, and then they were trying to cooperate, which is why she tied him up. And
yeah, because you'd think, greater odds of survival in a mugging, just give them what they want.
Exactly. Yeah, so who knows, but at this point people are like, he is going easier on the guys than the females, if you're looking at it that way.
Yeah.
So does he have something against women, is what people are saying at that point.
I feel like the overwhelming answer is yes for most killers. Again, mommy issues. My money's on that.
Yeah.
There's some psych major out there who's probably taken all the notes already.
Well, probably.
There's profiles. They'll be like, yeah, bad relationship with your mom. Good chance you can become a killer.
Well, no pressure for when we have kids.
I was going to say, oh, shit. We'll be fine. Hopefully.
So, those were his 6 victims that he's known to have. The last known victim and confirmed victim that was the Zodiac Killers was a 29-year-old taxi driver named Paul Stein. So, this took place on October 11th in 69 in San Francisco. So the Zodiac Killer shot Paul in the head when he was still in the taxi, and he even took a piece of his blood-stained shirt later on to send to the police as evidence, so he could confirm that it was him.
I was going to say, how are they tracking that it's him through everything? Oh, he's the one that leaves this...
That.
Oh.
Now you know.
It's hard for me to keep straight what happened in Criminal Minds versus what I've heard in podcasts, because they pull from each other so much.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, Is this reality or fiction I'm remembering? Both are messed up, but like...
Oh, this whole thing is so messed up.
Oh yeah, there's no silver lining here.
No. So one of the unique things about this one is that the Zodiac Killer actually stayed in the area after the attack, kind of taunting police. Eyewitnesses saw a man wiping down the outside of a taxi, they think maybe to potentially wipe like fingerprints and stuff on. And then walked away and blended into the surroundings. But just hung out in the area.
That is a theme in the podcast and the Criminal Minds and the other criminal shows, is that psychopaths want to hang around and watch what's happening.
Commotion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's their work, which is an awful way to put it.
No kidding. Like, work should mean you have benefits, retirement plan, 401k. Your benefits should not be in jail.
Entertainment. Well, this guy was never caught. We don't know who this was.
Cash in your benefits, dude. Go to jail.
So what you had already mentioned is the unique part about the Zodiac Killer is the ciphers and letters that he sent into the law enforcement and newspapers. So he sent his first ever cipher on July 31st in 1969 and claimed that his identity was within the cipher. So it was eventually solved by a couple from seeing it in the newspapers. Also, they were in the newspapers because he was threatening, if you don't publicize these, some sort of mass killing. So obviously they published that. But so a couple were actually who solved it, and they were both teachers.
Go teachers. They should be paid more.
Yeah. So not law enforcement, not FBI. They were the ones that decoded it. And essentially, with it decoded, it basically just says that he was responsible for shooting David, Betty, Michael, and Darlene. And as proof, he went on to mention details of the crimes that only him and the police would know at the time the letters were sent.
Taunting. Interesting.
Yeah. So another part of this, the letter, was that he liked killing people because it was more fun than killing wild game. Yeah.
Okay. Not judging all hunters here, but like if you're that into hunting, we talked about red flags in a previous episode. That's a red flag.
That would be a red flag for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like he was one of the bedwetting, fire-setting, animal torturing, the trifecta kids?
Well, because those are the ones that are typically the ones that end up like this.
Oh, so hunting was his hobby. Good.
Hunting was a hobby. Yep.
Good.
It's great. So he sent in another that year in November, and the cipher was solved actually in 2021. So recent.
Damn, that took a while.
Very, very hard ciphers. I believe, which I might have these in later notes, but I believe through researching about him, there were even more that he sent that haven't been decoded today. So this is the most recent one that's been decoded.
This is someone with a lot of free time on their hands. And blood.
These are, this is insane. So what the parts of it that have been released read, I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. I'm not afraid of gas chamber because it'll send me to paradise all the sooner because now I have enough slaves to work for me in the afterlife. So the people that he was killing to be slaves for him in the afterlife. Yeah. That one's a little mind boggle for you.
This seems like one of those dudes who gets really into Egyptian or Greek mythology and like the afterlife. but then starts going on about like, oh, I'm actually a reincarnated Egyptian king. And it's like, okay, Kyle from the middle of the frickin' suburbs, sure. That's what that's feeling like a little bit.
Huh. So he's collecting his slaves. It's great.
Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I have here, he had sent more letters. Some of them have been deciphered, and others remain unsolved to this day. So these are some really, really hard.
Are they just like released to the public so like anyone can look at them?
I think most of them were published in the newspapers. There might be some that like are just with the cops and just with the cops. I'm sure the FBI has them and whoever else, but
that's so wild to me that they were complying with demands and publishing in the newspaper.
This was also before serial killers were labeled as serial killers. So this guy was like...
This is before the study of all of that.
Yeah. So this guy was like their first serial killer that was well known, or that they linked to be a serial killer or named a serial killer. Like, we're in the era that we know what a serial killer is. They have movies about them. They have TV shows about them.
Podcasts.
We know a lot about them today, but back then they didn't exist. No one thought that people were going around just randomly murdering people for no reason.
Well, that's why so many people got murdered back then.
There are so many things that's like, I'm listening to podcasts. I'm like, well, why would you do that?
Right? Like, I can't...
It's because of them that we are now in the mindsets of, I can't do that. Because way back when, people like, I don't know, what are the names? Betty and Michael and... Oh, what did I do?
Oh, it was Brian and all of them. Okay, so what I'm hearing is don't go on dates ever.
Well, it's a good thing we're both married.
Yeah, no kidding. Because dates end after marriage. Well, kind of.
Date nights.
Yeah, but then you're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you can try to come in. It's not an invitation. But, like, we got some fuzzy friends who have very...
strong opinions about stranger danger.
They do, and strong jaws.
Yeah, I would not want to break into this house right now.
No.
I'd be terrified.
As well should, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that was the one thing I felt better about when we lived in the cities. My husband and I, before we got married, we lived right next to a bus stop. And, like, we were still in a pretty...
You were in a good neighborhood.
We were. Oh, yeah. Definitely compared to some of the other stuff. But every now and then, stuff would come through and you're like, okay, especially off the bus line.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
You had a lot of interesting people, especially in the city that... I currently live in the city that she used to live in.
Yeah. Massive city.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, there was quite a few times where there were some strangers, but Zeus had every opinion about the bus stop, so that's why he's so reactive today and he barks so much, because I never stopped him from barking, because I'm like, nope, I want every single person to know
there's a dog here.
There's a dog here who's big, has opinions, so like, yes, you may see the little blonde coming in and out of the house by herself, like, don't even try it.
Don't mess with the dog that comes with the blonde.
Yeah, no. Don't mess with the blonde either, because she's got years of dealing with the general public, so that's called repressed anger. Just waiting for a legal excuse.
USPS came around. What has it been, like 2 years now, where they came around, and if you have a dog, they put, or a dog or barking dog, it's, if you look it up, it's like a potentially hazardous dog, and it's a little orange sticker that they put on your mailbox because they come up to your house to put mail in the mailbox, and it's a orange sticker with a paw print on it. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's been a pretty good deterrent.
Yeah, it's like ADT, but free.
Yeah, we have a security system too, so double protection.
Right? See, and this all came about from stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, like the thought of having to have a security system or alarm system, why?
Oh, back then, and everyone left their doors unlocked. Some people still do that now, by the way.
Oh. I know, but like,
It drives me nuts. One of my college roommates, love her. She grew up in a small town. And so it was totally normal that you don't have to leave the door locked. We were in, again, also a good college area. But it's not a college area, and there was still public safety alerts coming out about, oh, there's a flasher, there was a mugging, and we were basically on campus.
Yeah.
There's so many times where I'd come home and the door's unlocked, and so then I'm doing a sweep of our duplex. I'm like, I got my pepper spray, I got my keys, I got my rage. That is all I have right now. And I'm sweeping the house, and there's so many times I'm like, I know you're not used to this, but please take 23 seconds and just lock the door. I timed it.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. But yeah, safety measures are in place because of people like this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Thinking about it though, back then, it must have felt just like a free world.
Yeah.
Imagine not having serial killers or anything.
No serial killers, no cell phones,
No killer clowns.
no killer clowns. What was up with 2016 in that one, by the way?
That
just kind of blipped into existence and quickly blipped right back out.
Yeah, I remember we were freshmen at college.
Hmm.
And there were people that would be out, and like I went to college up in North Dakota, and me and my friends would go for I can't say WALKs, jaunts, whatever you want to call them, and we'd be out and we would see people dressed up as clowns, and we're like, nope, we're gonna get the hell out of here. Just turned around and booked it. I ain't messing with that.
Nope. If I see somebody dressed as a clown anywhere outside of a kid's birthday party, that is
Well, it's like
big red
it's the
flag.
clowns with the mask, the clown mask.
That's worse.
Yeah,
That's so much worse. I don't like masks, though.
I don't either. They freak me out. I don't know 100% who's behind the mask.
Exactly. Well, and it's
You have to trust that. There are so many movies out there where it's like you think it's one person behind the mask, and then it ends up being a serial killer, and then your boyfriend or whoever is like 5 minutes behind, and you're dead.
Exactly. And also, again, you just can't see the facial expression. That's my big thing. Because, you never know. You can tell if somebody, is bored of you, is annoyed, is staring at your chest. You can tell, and you can see their face. Can't do that otherwise.
No. Also, it's really creepy when they just don't say anything. The part that always gets me in movies is when they have a mask on, they're not saying anything, and then they do the head tilt.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Don't like those. Don't like those. See, that to me, I'm like, ooh, that's predator behavior. I don't like that. That's creepy. Because then I think, am I supposed to be the prey? I don't want to be prey. I want to stab.
You want to stab?
Hypothetical, not admissible in a court of law. I'm just saying, in that situation, I don't want to be stabbed. I'd rather stab that dude.
Good save.
Well, if I'm stabbing him well enough, there will be no saving. Hypothetical, not admissible in a court of law.
Oh boy.
It's true. I'm just saying. But even still, I can handle the serial killer idea way better than I can handle the demon, spooky mumbo jumbo juju stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're definitive.
Exactly. You can definitively stab a motherfucker. What am I gonna do with a ghost?
I mean, you can try to stab him. It would probably piss him off or make him laugh.
I don't know which one's scarier. Laughing or pissed off ghost?
I think laughing, because then laughing's going to go right to really pissed off.
Good point. Like a girlfriend or a wife, just a heads up to the men out there. If she's mad and then you start making her laugh or she's laughing...
Game over.
Yeah,
good luck.
It's a 50-50 shot about if it's you're forgiven or you're about to be forgiven.
Good luck.
Have fun. All that from Zodiac Killer.
There is one movie that I've watched recently that was actually pretty good, and I don't watch many horror movies, and I'm using air quotes because it's like a comedy horror movie.
A little campy-ish.
Yeah. But it was really good. I can't remember the title of it, but it was about literally just recent movie, came out in 2023, like very recent.
Oh.
I think it came out on Halloween or something. I have a computer in front of me.
We have the internet.
Uh-huh.
See, I like some of the campy horror movies.
Totally Killer.
I don't know if I saw the previews for that.
Okay, well, how about we finish the Zodiac Killer, because I don't have much left on this.
Yes.
And then we will we'll transition into Totally Killer, because I might have you watch the trailer to that one. And then we can chat about it. So, getting back to the Zodiac Killer. So he sent many letters. Some of them have been deciphered. Others remain unsolved to this day. One of the suspects was Arthur Lee Allen. So he was never arrested or charged with any connection to the Zodiac crimes. One reason that he was suspected was circumstantial evidence like proximity to crime scenes and also resemblance to sketches created based on eyewitness descriptions. And he even owned and wore a Zodiac watch. Which, I don't know if I said this or not, one of the ciphers that was deciphered said that he was calling himself the Zodiac. And that's where the Zodiac Killer name came in.
Gotcha.
So he has a Zodiac watch, and it just...
Was Zodiac watch popular? Like, Zodiac watches, were they
I
popular?
have no idea.
That would be my thing. Because, like, I can see why he wouldn't be charged, because that is circumstantial at best. Yeah, you need a little bit more to charge somebody.
Well, there's more, but successful period in the 1950s, 270s, so might have been pretty common. I have no idea. But could have been.
Well, we'll take it.
Yeah. They did try to analyze his DNA to the DNA found on the letters that were sent in, but there wasn't a match at all.
Interesting.
The handwriting was the next thing that they looked at, but Allen was actually ambidextrous, or Arthur Lee Allen. Yeah.
Allen.
He was ambidextrous, so the results were inconclusive. Also, one thing that I don't have it written down, but in one of the podcasts, they were saying that these ciphers, he would, like, what are the people that analyze handwriting called?
Topo something.
Yeah, whoever they are, they were analyzing his handwriting, and they were noticing, like, it looks like he's switching hands halfway through, or like he's purposely misspelling things. So he is breaking up his writing pattern so they can't link him to anybody.
Okay, so there's an intelligence there, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, this is a really smart guy. And also going off of that, there were also letters saying that he killed other people, and this is where you can find this person, and
Were
blah,
those
blah, blah.
substantiated claims?
They couldn't find them.
So it may have just been a
The
ghost
ones
hunt.
that, exactly, and was it actually from him? We don't know. Nobody knows evidence. So, the handwriting was inconclusive. Arthur Allen also has an alibi witness for some of the killings, who died shortly after the last one, I believe. After one of the killings, he died shortly after of a heart attack.
Convenient.
I know. And then, no, this is where everyone really speculates that this was him. A friend of Arthur's, named Dawn, claimed that Allen made statements to him on how he could kill people without getting caught, and gave him specifics that tied to some of these killings, but it was before the Zodiac Killer was made, like, public.
Yeah, not looking good for dear old Allen boy there.
No.
That being said, again, I don't know how conclusive that could be,
No. I mean, there's no hard evidence that it was him.
I know that's the hard part. And also,
It's
I
all
mean,
speculation.
it is speculation. And this could be just a difference in society. It's definitely a difference in society. But I'm just thinking nowadays, it is totally normal for some people to be like, oh, no, if you're going to kill somebody, don't do that. You do this. You do this. Because
Yeah.
we've got it all around us.
It's normal in our culture versus back then it was probably very abnormal.
That's true. That is... Yeah. All right, well, even less argument there for Alan. I'm just perplexed by the DNA not matching. Granted...
But he could have had someone else send it or someone else write it, or maybe he had another victim that no one knew about and made them write it.
Perhaps, but then once you see signs of distress in the writing, unless distress can be seen as power, because like hard pressure, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that.
You sound like you are.
I've watched a lot of Criminal Minds, and I do have very limited criminal background. I do not have a criminal record.
Connie.
My dad's a lawyer, okay? I know stuff from him, which is why I also know that DNA testing, until more recent years, definitely not a perfect science, and it's still not a perfect science.
No, absolutely not. So who knows if that's even correct?
Yeah. And it depends what sample they took. What blows my mind is that in our lifetime, there has been a change in how you collect DNA evidence.
Oh.
So there were cases where in order to lift a print, you essentially put glue over it. And then you take that off. Now, it's a good method, and I am obviously paraphrasing, and I am not the expert here, but by doing that, you're able to get a better...
All right, so we are back. We had a very brief intermission. We got interrupted first by the dogs, and then... Husbands.
Phone calls.
Yeah.
And then we had to get some snacks.
Yeah, we had to refuel and then let our first clip finish finish uploading. And we're back. So we just talked about Arthur Allen.
Yes.
And how, he was suspected of being the Zodiac Killer. But one thing that I did not mention was that he actually died in 1992. So maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Either way, he's gone now, so we will never know. Unless it's in one of his, cryptic messages that has not been decoded.
See, but at this point, would I trust the Zodiac Killer to actually put his identity in there?
No.
Yeah, I feel like he would frame somebody just for giggles and shits. Like...
Was that out of order?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It just kind of...
That made me pause a little bit. Either way, this happened in 1969, so even if he's still out there, he's pretty darn old. Of the theories that are online, the next speculation of who the Zodiac Killer was, what if there's someone on the inside? What if they're a cop?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So one of the theories out there, again, is that they're a cop because they had all this inside information that only cops knew. How else would you know? And also there are some podcasts that I was listening to that after each one of his killings, supposedly, I couldn't find any articles on it, but it was on a podcast. Don't know if it's true or not. But apparently after every one of his killings, he would call the police and say, I'm here, like just taunting them.
What a dick.
Yeah. So, is it Arthur? Is it a cop? Is it some random person? We will never know.
Oh, and I suppose police calls weren't recorded back then.
Well, and he would also call on payphones.
I was thinking voice analysis, but can't do that.
Not back then.
Nope.
That wasn't a thing. And then a lot of the Oh, another speculation. I was trying to read my notes. I'm like, what did I write?
Been there.
The next speculation is, could these all be separate events that were unsolved cases that someone just took credit for but never actually did?
Shocker, killer is dishonest.
Weird.
Yeah, they don't care about plagiarism.
Yeah. And then that goes back to the cop thing. What if it was a cop that just wanted to tie random murders together? Get his moment of fame, but not really.
That is a theory. I don't know, I'm leaning more credence to it being like an actual person with the killing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's a similar MO, at least in the first 4,
Yeah.
with shooting couples. Well, then you had stabbing.
You mean the first
though.
3?
Yeah, well, because the first 4 people who were shot, though.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So it was, what was it? Shot,
I was tying them
shot,
together.
stabbed,
Yep, and then shot.
and then shot. See, the
But
stab
the last
is
one
weird.
was single.
Single is weird, and stab is weird.
Yeah.
Because it feels like from the shows, from the podcast, from all the stuff, that usually, like, you can have a little bit of randomness at the very beginning as they're trying to, like, figure out what they like.
Yeah.
I hate that sentence. But, like, it seems
But
weird
honestly,
to go
yeah.
from shooting to stabbing, because that's a very different way of killing. That's
Well, and actually interacting with them, too.
It is. It's actually interacting, and it is getting so much more personal. Like, shooting is impersonal. It can be personal, obviously, but like,
Well, yeah, but like shooting people through a car, like
mm-hmm,
he didn't come up to them; he shot them through the car.
mm-hmm. Which for a first kill, you're nervous, you're scared. That I can track with that.
Yeah, but then going from that directly to a stabbing, also coming up to them and talking and interacting with them,
Mm-hmm.
and also not if you're going to do that, make sure that they're dead.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It feels like there's
both
a
of
lot
them
of
were able
inconsistency.
to. Yeah, both of them were able to make it to the hospital. I mean, a lot of these victims were able to make it to the hospital, but like, if you're doing a stabbing where they saw you and talked to you, wouldn't
Make
you
sure
want
they're
to
dead?
make sure? Like, I know you had a costume, whatever, on, but like, wouldn't you want to make sure they don't survive so they can't identify you?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they didn't, but
Yeah, but then that's also such a huge gap because we have a difference in the murder weapon,
yeah,
the method of killing, the time of killing as
Yeah.
well, and like you said, the interaction.
yeah,
Because you go from late at night, the lover's lane,
yeah,
very impersonal, far away, well, not super far, but farther, to broad daylight
yeah.
with a costume, bringing props along. That's a premeditated, because I don't know about you, but I don't just carry rope around.
What?
What? And so, like, brought the rope, brought the knife. I don't know. It doesn't click in my brain like the others one.
There are also, theories that he was also tied to a kidnapping and whatever else, but they don't know for sure, obviously, because they never ID'd him. But
I feel like, and of course I could be wrong here, but I feel like starting at a kidnapping, because kidnapping, that is less than a murder.
I believe the kidnapping was a few years after all this.
And that's weird.
Like, all this happened within a short period of time. So if you stop doing it, wouldn't you assume that you stop? Or for a period of time and then start up again? Why would you randomly throw in a kidnapping?
Yeah, it is weird. It would be like you stop, and you're stopped because either you moved, were incapacitated, you were stopped, or you were close to getting caught and you have brain cells, and so you've laid low.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go back into killing, if you already know that shooting is your thing, like, that's what you would go into.
Especially he's a hunter. Unless he was experimenting with the game he was killing.
Yeah.
Because who says that killing game is just guns? It's not.
I don't know too many people who hunted deer with a knife, but they could.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel like someone's done that in Stearns County for sure. I can say that I have family from there. But like, I don't know. All of it, it just feels, and obviously we're going over a little, and I've got my own little background knowledge on it.
Yeah.
It just feels very disconjointed.
So you have the two couples, which seem like so similar, and then you have a random like
a single male.
Yeah. Well, no. The next one was the couples that got stabbed.
Oh,
in broad daylight. Sorry,
couples.
Two couples.
Yes.
And then the stabbing couple.
And then it was the single guy.
And then the single guy. Those last two don't seem like it's the same person, but also I guess you don't have to kill the same way, but like...
No, but I feel like when killers are studied, they seem to have their signature.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what they like, which is why you can have some deviation when they're starting. I talk like I know what I'm talking about. I don't.
She watches a lot of Criminal Minds.
I do Criminal Minds and, like, did the true crime and the...
Yeah, she's very into this. I'm at top level. I stay at top level.
Yeah, I go a little bit deeper. I don't go, like, full deep dive. Not yet.
I feel like it's coming for you, but I just...
I mean, a career choice, it would be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, so, like, it's just very interesting because you can see that deviance, kind of like when you're an adolescent and you're trying to figure out your style, what you like. You're going to wear eyeliner, you're going to straighten your hair, you're going to do the crunch, you're going to have some god-awful eyebrows. But then once you figure out what works for you, you're going to stick with it, regardless of if it looks terrible in 5 years, you're going to commit.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of feels like it's the same thing. Where, like, once you got it, you would stick with it. It seems very odd that you would change it. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't know if they're all, like, I mean, honestly, no one knows if they're linked. They're just going off of these letters, and who's to say that it's actually from the killer?
Yeah.
We don't know. Maybe they're all linked. Maybe it's, the killer is the same for all four of them, and he wrote the letters, and he did all of them. But also, we could just have someone doing the letters.
Yeah.
And tying in random unsolved murders.
So there's been so many killers who have claimed that they have more victims than they have. Mm-hmm. Like, I was doing just a tiny little bit of searching on our little break where I was looking up inspiration, like the real-life killers for Criminal Minds episodes, which love that show. And so many of them, I'm remembering the episodes, I'm remembering what they talked about, and they're talking, in this article, they're talking about the parallels between, like, okay, well, this killer influenced this killer influenced this, but here's where the difference is.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because they do get so niche and they don't stray, and they know what they're going for right away. Yeah. Or they may not know it on the first one, but they figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But there is it is most common to have a common denominator amongst victims or mode of killing or something. Which, again, this one just varies so much.
Yeah. So, who knows? So, who honestly knows about this one? But I thought it was an interesting one to just kind of do I wouldn't say a deep dive, because this wasn't real deep dive, but this one was a brief overview of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, a true deep dive would be a multi-part, because there's so much that goes into these things.
There are so many details. I know, I was like, I want to go into detail, but at the same time, I'm going to keep it so we keep this episode relatively reasonable for a length of time.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's so much, and a lot of the really good true crime podcasts, and there's even some actually that have gone into cold cases, and they've gotten cold cases reopened because it is people going ham and dedicating on this. I don't even want to say going ham because we talked about serial killers and pigs earlier, which, that's gross.
Disgusting. But we might do it on a future episode. So.
That's true. But, like, there's so much that goes into it between the cops, the forensic science side of it, the investigators, and then you've got the witnesses, and then you've got the legal end of it. You have to make sure everyone's working together, because a cop's gut instinct, as good as it can be, not always, but as good as it can be, doesn't mean jack squat if you can't get a prosecutor to get a good case together, and if the investigators can't get good enough evidence to tie to a person. Because thankfully, we don't convict just based on someone's gut feeling.
Yeah.
Even though you may know it in your gut that the person's a bastard.
You still need evidence.
You need beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I feel like we need to bring something happy before we go out on that one.
Well, my idea, I was telling you about Totally Killer earlier.
Yeah.
The movie. It's a horror movie, so we're staying on par, but it's also a comedy. So horror comedy.
Comedy. Got it.
Comedy.
Comedy.
So I'm gonna have her react to it. Obviously for like copyright reasons, I won't be putting it in here, so it'll just be a quick little skip for you and then we'll chat about it.
I can see how that would be good.
It was really good. I am a jumpy person. I don't watch many horror movies anymore. I used to love them. I watched them all the time.
All the time.
And now I get so jumpy. Like, this isn't bad. This is not bad, because you have the comedy.
There's the comedy aspect.
The comedy aspect, like, kind of saves it a little bit. But I was still, like, jumpy after. But it was, I also love, I'm a sucker for time travel movies. Let's be completely honest here.
Tower of Terror, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
What was the other one? There's a third one that you and I watched together. I'm getting Barbie 12 Dancing Princesses, but that's not time travel. It does transport me back to the good old days. Wow, why am I not? There is so much more time travel, but it's just traveled out of my brain. No, that did look good. Like, I would be interested in that.
Yeah. I just looked up time travel movies. There are more time travel movies than I thought were out there. There's a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, growing up, who didn't love Back to the Future?
I had never seen it until you had showed it to me. Yeah.
Oh, such good movies. Such classic movies.
See, I grew up on Mel Brooks movies. Do you know any of the Mel Brooks movies? Like Robin Hood Men in Tights, Blazing Saddles seems to be the one that everybody knows.
Nope. I don't
History of the World Part 1.
Recognize him?
You know...
Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks, yes. Yeah, he's gotten much older now. He's in his 90s, honestly.
Let's look at movies. Blazing Saddles, I've heard of that one.
I feel like you would like Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Apparently he was in Robots, the kid movie.
Oh yeah, he was Big... No, not Big Weld. Yeah, he was Big Weld.
I don't remember any of their names. Apparently he was in Toy Story 4. Was he the big teddy bear thing in Toy Story 4?
I don't think so.
The purple teddy bear.
Because when you hear him talk, you know he's Jewish. Like, I don't know how else to say that.
I don't know what that
you
means.
You would if you heard him speaking. You would.
Connie, people are going to start labeling us as racist.
No. I'm just saying, you know when you hear him speak, because he does the traditional, like, Jewish style of accent speaking. You hear it in his old movies.
Okay.
I
take your word for it.
We should still watch Robin Hood Men in Tights sometime, because that is hilarious. It's also got a very young, I always mispronounce his name. Carrie Eels? Wesley from Princess Bride. What? You
I've never seen Princess Bride.
You have brothers. Ella Enchanted, did you see that?
Yes.
He was the king.
Oh.
Yeah, he had dark hair in that.
Oh, okay. So I have seen something with him in that.
You have. He's been in a lot. He's apparently really nice. My mom's friend, her daughter is a makeup artist. This was one of the friends who was at the bridal shower. Her daughter is a makeup artist, and her other... No, wait, I'm confused. She's got 3 girls. No, it wasn't the makeup artist. Sorry, it was her oldest daughter who has worked in LA doing a host of different things. She worked a couple of events, and like she never gets star-studded. Star-studded? No.
Starstruck?
Starstruck. There you go. She doesn't get starstruck, but apparently with him she did, because he was just so sweet, so polite, and he was kind to absolutely everybody, which like that should be the baseline for everyone. Like you should be kind to everyone, from the servers to the host of the party and what else, but like not everyone does that.
You know who would like get me the starstruck? Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges? Yeah. I like him. He is always a good character. I mean, like, sometimes he's a bad guy, but, like, he's always just enjoyable to watch.
There's a series that, I can't remember what it was, but me and Mitch were watching not that long ago that he was, like, the main guy. Don't know if he was the bad guy or the good guy. He kind of seemed, like, people were chasing after him, so it kind of seemed like the bad guy, but also, like, you learn about him and you're like, well,
The morally
you
gray.
seem good. Yeah. But he also played the Giver in The Giver,
Mm-hmm.
and that one was like one of my favorite books. That was one of my favorite books growing up.
That book messed me up.
Have you read the entire series?
I didn't remember it was part of a series until now.
Because, okay, I read it as part of like the curriculum
Same.
in elementary school, which a lot of people do, right?
Mhm.
There's a whole series. Whole series.
Did I not know that?
I don't even...
Because I always wondered with the way it leaves off with him taking his little brother, which like that whole thing of like what just
Yeah. Oh, is it only 4 books? I guess it's only 4 books. But so
3 more than I knew existed.
well, so I was really big into audiobooks a couple summers ago. And I would, bring Ruby on long WALKs. Sorry, can't say the word. We have dogs nearby that would freak out. But we would go on really long WALKs. I mean, I'm talking 6+ miles. Just because I would get so into whatever book I was listening to at the time. And all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, how far have we come? Oh, we're over 6 miles. We should probably move back home. But that's when I was listening to the series. Oh my gosh, I was so close to quitting though, because it's weird. I'm trying to describe this. I want to describe this well. The first book and then the second book are not directly related yet. You kind of, so the first book, picture the second book, kind of the same realm, but you know how he broke out? It's a different realm.
Gotcha. So same universe, separate story.
Yes.
Got it.
So, like, I don't know. We're in the United States. They're in Australia. I don't know. But eventually in the last book, I just remember so many times I would be WLKing her, and I would just stop dead in my tracks, be like, no, it's this person from this one and this person from that one, and it just all ties in so well. It's such a good series.
I love that. Also, real quick, if anyone is thinking that she is abusing Ruby by taking her on a 6+ mile WALK one way,
she's an Australian cattle dog.
No.
She's psycho.
She's psycho. She has high energy. She wants to burn it. You can learn more about how Jess is as a dog mom and Ruby's health history on their TikTok. Jess and Ruby, Ruby and Jess.
Jess and Ruby.
Jess and Ruby. That's the TikTok handle. So, like, don't worry. Trust me. It's good.
She's good. She didn't used to have energy because she was really sick, but you will learn more if you go and check this out. But yes, that would be potentially a fun series to read on here, because I've only listened through them once. So, yeah.
Oh, for doing book series, I still really want to get your reactions to the Twilight series. I do.
So, a little background here. Connie read them when they were pretty new, right?
Yeah, I started reading them the summer before the Twilight movie came out, because my mom picked it up at the bookstore at the cabin, and she's like, hey, the lady said that this is entertaining for girls your age. You're in middle school, have at it. I devoured that thing so fast. I was like, this is so good. And then everyone got crazy.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, was not allowed anywhere near it, basically. I couldn't watch the movies. I couldn't read the books. Like, I remember going to a friend's birthday party, and I remember specifically telling my friend to tell her mom not to tell my mom that we were watching Twilight because it had just come out and we were all so amped up about it. I had no idea what it was about, but it didn't matter. Everyone was all hyped up. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, we're going to watch this movie. And her mom accidentally slipped when my mom dropped me off. And she's like, we'll talk about this later, and I'm going to be picking you up early. And so didn't get to watch it. And then so much time had passed. Honestly, I got to the point where I was like, never watched it, never read it, don't really care. The Hunger Games are out right now. So honestly, couldn't care less.
Yeah, no, I so want to bring you into the world. Just because it is such a dumpster fire.
That's what I've heard.
I mean, honestly, I could do to you what I did to Jenna, where one of my younger sisters, she now meets up with her college friends and they do Twilight nights where they do themed snack boards based on the movie, and they watch different movies. They bring the boys in on it. Like,
that's cute.
It actually is, and it's a hate watch. It has to be a hate watch. But like, I told her the plot of all of the books one day, just like sitting in the living room at my mom's old house. It was just like, I don't really know what this is, and I'm like, okay, so it starts like this. And then I got really into it, and I realized that even though I hadn't touched the books in more than 10 years, it was all still up there.
Oh, it never leaves.
It doesn't.
When you get that invested in books, it doesn't leave.
It doesn't.
Harry Potter, Hunger Games. Doesn't leave.
I've lost a little bit of my Harry Potter just because it's been a really, really long time since I read it.
I dove deep into Harry Potter recently. I actually didn't read any of them until COVID.
Really?
When I got COVID, and I literally could barely stand up.
Yeah, you got sick.
I got really sick, and it was in the beginning when they didn't know what was going on. I got it from a patient.
I was going to say, was it like June or July of 2020?
It was like March.
It was
March
early.
of 2020. It was earlier.
Early.
Yeah, it was really early. Like, the tests that were out weren't accurate. They always threw negatives, even if you were positive. It was right whenever the test came out. Yeah. That's all I remember. Like, weeks into the test coming out. But so I couldn't do anything. My husband had no symptoms whatsoever. I remember one morning, he's like, maybe I do have it. I have a slight headache.
I remember you called me after that. You're like, I love him. I want to kick his ass.
Yeah, I was not happy. But so I was stuck here. And, you know, it's like a ghost town outside. No one's outside. So he's out running his best 5K of his life. And I decided I was going to crochet a blanket. So I made a couple baby blankets while I was here. I washed them.
Everyone's fine.
It's fine. I made quite a few baby blankets, sitting there crocheting and listening to Harry Potter, Jim Dale's Harry Potter, which he does an amazing job, by the way. A lot of people give him crap. He does such an amazing job. Because he's not the original.
Got it.
I don't know. But he was the first one I listened to, so. And he's on Audible, so. But then, after I listened to them, I was like, well, there's some podcasts out there, and then I dove deep into the podcast this summer, which kept me very entertained while I was, very, very entertained during not exciting times. But
you and my cousin can connect a lot on that, because she has done the same.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need something to listen to while you're doing things that require no brain work, but you need something to help you stay focused.
Oh, that's how I get all my cleaning done.
Yeah.
I've noticed I've hacked my brain enough that if I need to get cleaning done, either A, someone's got to be here with me.
Yep.
You and my sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, which we do plenty of cleaning days together.
It's
thank
great.
God.
It's
so
great.
good. It's so good. Or I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm talking
Yeah.
to someone on the phone, because, like, it's enough where I'm engaged mentally, and now I need to be doing something physically.
Yep.
Which is good and bad, depending on what you're doing. Like, I can't do
Depending on
work.
who you're talking to.
That is true.
Depending on what you're, I don't know. I always put honestly, I'm so bad at like, when I'm home alone, I have to have something on. And I think that's more of, like, I live in a super old house, by the way, like, over 100 years. It was built in 1906. It's great. I love it. It has the old charm. It's beautiful.
It's a really good house.
But it makes a lot of noises. And I think that's what triggered me to, always have something on. So, if my husband's at work and I'm by myself, I throw on a podcast or throw on Hulu or something on my phone and just, like, walk around and do stuff with it on.
Yep.
A lot of times it's just background noise, but
it drowns out the other noise. Because when we lived in our house in the city, I think it was 1918 is when it was built. So it was also over 100 years at that point. Oh yeah, it made so many noises. And this one, Zeus, he would stare randomly into my husband's office.
Yep. Haunted houses are fun.
Oh, I swear, that room gave me the creeps. I hated being in there. I wrote a paper
It's like
in
my
there
attic.
once. Yeah. Which I'm looking forward to going up there and cleaning, though.
Yeah. I've stashed a lot of stuff up there. We'll get to it eventually.
It'll be so much fun. But, like, when you hear all those noises, it just helps to have the TV or something going.
Yeah.
Or I would just talk louder, which is not a problem for me. Based on our first couple takes of doing the podcast, I sound so quiet, but I'm a pretty loud person.
Mm-hmm.
When I want to.
Yeah,
Generally,
yeah.
I can be quiet, but I'm Italian. I married an Italian. I'm loud.
Unless you take the hand gestures away.
Yeah, then I don't know
Then
what
she
to
can't
do.
talk at all.
I can't.
If you tell her to sit on her hands, I bet she can't say a peep. Nope.
I don't think I can. I'm doing it now. And we're laughing. We're watching, wedding videos, because when I got married, I had the videographer, and I'm supposed to be holding a microphone right here. Do you think the microphone stayed there? Because it didn't.
0.2 seconds. Give yourself some credit.
That might be 0.1 more generous than I would. It's yeah. Which means I should never talk while holding a gun. A loaded gun. With the safety off.
Good to know. Please don't.
I don't imagine myself having that. If I'm having a conversation with a gun in my hand, let's assume that we got Zodiac on the other end of it.
Yes.
Or somebody.
Well, tying it back, we strayed quite far.
Chaos Chronicles.
So, I think, what do you think? Wrap it up for the episode?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Well, until next time.
Yeah. Oh, quick plug about our
yes.
TikTok.
Yes, thank you for reminding. So, yes, we do have a TikTok. Our TikTok is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, please join us there. We will have probably a lot of outtakes by this time.
There's already so many.
Yeah. Most, not all, involve dogs. So, that is fun. Sometimes it's barking, and sometimes it's just chaos. So, join us there. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. Give us your suggestions down below on what you guys would like to see in future episodes.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And we will see you next time.
Adios.